Welcome back. Let's bring in our guest analyst. Ambrose Igboke is the chairman of the Guild of Public Affairs Analysts in Enugu State. Mr. Igboke, Happy New Year, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Happy New Year to you guys. I seem to have a good time because you're all looking very fresh.
It's the grace of God. Let's say it like Nigeria. And you're looking great as well. Mr. Igboke, let's go to the Vanguard newspaper. It's leading with politics. 2027, PDP faction to hold talks with Obi Atiku. ADC Taunt says win Atiku Obi to where? As it's ready to work with like minds to rescue Nigeria. ADC, not PDP, is way forward, according to Atiku's camp. PDP is in crisis, can't woo Obi obedient movement. So those are the riders as far as the politics has actually started way before now, but of course, it's building up to what will eventually be a crescendo. What do you make of this headline?
It is interesting, and there is this lexicon to rescue. Has been our lexicon since the first coup of January 15, 1966, where some group of people said they want to rescue Nigeria. And then I think the politicians borrowed that. Every time you want to rescue, what are you rescuing? They come back, they come to power and do worse things. Nigerians should not be fooled by all these rhetorics about rescuing Nigeria, because when they're coming, I mean, there was nothing in the most recent history of political history of Nigeria. 2013, 2014 was a crescendo where the propaganda of the APC was top-notch, and they said they were coming for change. We didn't know that it was a worse change, not a better change. So when you say you're going to rescue, with the experiences of the past 12 years, 10 years and 12 years, is something Nigerians should not forget in a hurry. Of course, 2026, as you rightly said, is the year of cementing relationships, forging new alliances. Defections were done last year. This year, for time for consolidation, because the primaries are going to be done this year. So there will not be time for moving around too much. There will be time for just consolidating your position, whatever political party you find yourself, and seeking for political relevance, as well as maybe clinching tickets for contests. That is what will happen this year. For people, I'm surprised that Ahmed said he's sticking to LP, so that is political choice. ADC is going to have a very strong, maybe internal crisis if they don't handle the ambitions of Atiku Abubakar very well. Atiku Abubakar should be a gentleman and just not contest this election, because there's a gentleman's agreement within the political elite that power will rotate between the northern part of the country and the south of Nigeria. And this gentleman agreement has, they've stuck to it. So Atiku is trying to disrupt this harmony, and it's not good. For a personal ambition, he should not come forward to disrupt what has been working for Nigeria. Because he tried it in 2023, where Northerner just finished 8 years. He wanted to come in to rule another 8 years. That is unfair, and that is ungentlemanly. So this time again is coming forward. So I think he should just stay and ensure that he's supposed to be an ADC to clinch the presidential ticket. As for the PDP, rooting and trying to get alliance with obedient movement, it's a shame that they're happy to be in their, by this time 4 years ago, 3 years ago, they're happy to be in their camp. And before they went on a self-implosion, voyage that have made them the nonsense of what the might they once, had. I don't think any serious party or alliance will want to form an alliance or collaborate with PDP towards 2027. For now, they don't matter.
Well, from politics, let's head over to the New Telegraph, which takes a look at what has been the talking point amongst Nigerians since January the 1st. And it's from the perspective of the labor organization. NLC slams new tax laws, queries FG borrowing. Don't agonize over injustice, organize to fight it. Oshomole tells Labour. Obasanjo reveals how Labour reforms ended foreign grip on unions. Dr. Igboke, is this after the fact, crying after the fact, because there were series of hearings and debates, even on the floor of both chambers of the National Assembly as far as the new tax laws are concerned. But now we're hearing more, not just from Labour, but also from the opposition on the need to suspend the new tax laws. What are your thoughts?
Well, you just took it out of my mouth, because the first question that came to my mind after you read that headline was, where was Labour all this while? Where was NLC? So it suggests that NLC is just playing pranks with Nigerians. This Ajero-led NLC is going down the history as one of the worst leadership in Nigeria's NLC, because you know, they have not really defended the workers. They have not fought for the workers. They have not intervened for the people. They come on air, make all kinds of media publicity, do engage in some caricature of protests across the country, and then go to sleep. Even the minimum wage, they couldn't fight for a good one. They couldn't intervene anymore on various issues. Tariffs were increased arbitrarily, both at the telecoms and electricity. Petrol was taken to the rooftop. Subsidy was removed. Naira was floated. A lot of things that happened in the last going to 3 years now. NLC just was sitting lame duck. Now, all the through the sittings, as you said, nothing has happened. And then implementation, federal government told they were going to implement. Implementation started, and it's 1 week later, they are making another media circus. I think Mr. Ajero and his group should spare us of this shenanigan this 2026.
Well, let's see how other dailies are reporting the big stories, Mr. Igboke. This Nigeria, if we can run through this Nigeria, and it leads with court's order that interim forfeiture of 57 properties linked to Malami. There you have it. Grants 500 million naira bill to former justice minister and wife, as well as a son. And judge warns lawyers against trying to influence him. I mean, for a judge to warn lawyers against trying to influence him, on the one hand, that establishes the fact that lawyers try to influence judges. And it also, well, lends credence to a lot of judges agreeing to be influenced by these lawyers. Mr. Igboke, what do you make of this? I was looking at the list of the 57 properties, and I'm thinking, wow, what exactly is going on here?
The judge is correct. We all have friends. I mean, the lawyers and judges are not from Mars. They are all our friends, brothers, relatives, colleagues, friends here in Nigeria. So, and we know what they do. So the justice system needs to be cleansed. There's a lot going on there. So for the judge to cry out, you know what has been happening. You know, for Malami's 57 properties, a man who was just maybe just an ordinary civil servant managing himself as maybe commissioner and attorney general, maybe in Kano State or Muskebi or somewhere, and then all of a sudden becomes attorney general, and then within 8 years he has amassed so much. I have always reiterated and maintained that you know, the ability for civil servants or public servants to access funds, to have access to unlimited quantum of fund in Nigeria is what leads to this brazen corruption. Because a director in the ministry, for example, have access to billions. An executive director in an agency of government have access to billions. And so most of the time, if any human being have this kind of access, there's a strong temptation to put your hands there, because at that point, nobody checks you. There's no balancing, there's no threat, you are in charge, you have all the powers, and then you just do, and those who are supposed to check you look the other way. EFCC looks the other way. It's when the man was in office. I'm sure they know about this. But because of, you know, he was in power, perhaps whoever was the chairman was also battling his own case that time. They didn't have the guts to question that. So Malami goes today. Mefele was yesterday. He left. The same government. Properties, 300 properties also were seized from that one. This one again, we have 57 properties. It will continue to reoccur. It will continue to make headlines. It will continue to government, when it leaves, we will see things being unmasked. That is because we have too much access to fund public officers. So the first way to start to curb this is to ensure that public officers and civil servants don't have direct access to fund. And insofar it continues that a director can, steal 23 billion naira cash and all those, and then it will continue to happen. So how do we tighten it? How do we reorientate? How do we reconfigure our public system to ensure that public servants and civil servants don't have access to funds? If they continue to have access to funds, we'll continue to see monumental corruption. We'll continue to hear these cases, and there will be because there are not enough deterrent. I hope this will not enter plea bargain, because it seems the style is still as much as you can. Get arrested, get prosecuted, do a plea bargain, return some, go home and enjoy the rest. If we continue that way, then corruption will continue with us.
It's quite unfortunate. In fact, I think another place that the EFCC, ICPC, and these anti-graft agencies and people that should be checking the book should be looking at should be subnationals, because it's arguable that some of the levels of corruption you see at the national level may even be worse at the subnational level. But let's stay with this Nigerian newspaper. Just at the top right, you see oil prices fall again after Trump says Venezuela to send oil to the U.S. So I think WTI is doing about $56 per barrel. Brent is doing about $60 per barrel. Why this is important to us? Because this is our biggest FX earner and our cash cow, at least for now. Maybe in the future, maybe it's going to be something different, but for right now, it's our biggest earner. And we benchmarked our budget, I think $65 per barrel for our assumption for the year. What do you make of this?
Well, the oil market is going to be affected by what is happening in Venezuela. Already because of what was happening in Ukraine and Russia, where there was an advantage for some other country because of the oil embargo on Russia. But Russia has still found ways to sell, through the black market, going through China, going through India, and some other sympathetic nations. But what happened in Venezuela, which is one of the biggest oil countries in the world, we affect sale. That means, so what we are saying is that the United States, which is one of the countries that buy oil from us, we have surplus, because from this now they have unlimited access to Venezuelan oil and gas. So they may not need you again. So what happens to the OPEC nations? What happens to Nigeria? So if there may be glut in the market, because apart from the United States having much, so they will have, they may start exporting too, because they already have enough. And the trade balance is also that they are going to export from America products, services, and other things to Venezuela in exchange for the oil, as Donald Trump has said. So this will alter trade balance for a while in the world, especially with the oil-producing countries. And then if push comes to shove, America will start augmenting and doing things with the Arab nations, for example, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Kuwait, and other countries that are friends of the United States, before looking our way. And we must admit that the United States is a very huge market for oil. So now, the petroleum minister of state should, and the people managing our economy should start looking for alternatives quickly for our oil to say that, so that we can begin to nip these things before they start affecting us negatively. Because if we wait until they start, because we always wait for things to happen and we start reacting. So this one, there's already the right handwriting on the wall. Let's be proactive so that we can mitigate whatever negative consequences these developments will have on our economy.
Well, thank you so much for your expertise as well as insight as far as these issues are concerned. But must thank you, the chairman of Guild of Public Affairs Analysts in Enugu State. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me on the show this morning.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back after this break, we're talking sports. The Super Eagles will be out against Algeria on Saturday for the quarterfinals at AFCON. But there's an administrative issue about bonuses and salaries, all that being paid. We're talking with the people in charge in just a moment. Stay with us.